What starts as a routine tip on a cartel stash house turns into a deadly trap for five cops who, instead of the promised $100,000, discover $21 million in cold, hard cash. Over the course of a single night, the greed and cunning of every officer will be pushed to the limit as they fight to survive, though fending off attacks from the cartel and the feds will be the easiest part of their mission.
Should I get him on the radio?
Stay off the fucking radio.
The film is based on a true story. Miami Police Captain Jackie Velez, confident and capable, tries to reassure a witness caught in a desperate situation. Jackie promises to get her out safely, but when the girl stops at a parking lot, she is immediately shot by a masked gunman. In a display of true zoomer detachment, she doesn't even look up from her screen, continuing to finish her text before tossing her phone into the water, only to be cut down by a fatal blast of buckshot before the police, already racing to the scene, can save her. We are immediately taken to the precinct, where Lieutenant Dane Dumars is clashing with his boss, Major Tom. The Major is trying to turn a blind eye to the brazen murder of a police officer on the city streets, even as a massive threat looms over the department. FBI agents are threatening to dismantle the narcotics unit because the only theory they've come up with is that Captain Jackie Velez was an honest cop who got in the way of a massive skimming operation, and her own people took her out to keep the money for themselves. Dane's partner, Sergeant Jay Byrne, is nearly at blows with FBI agents Logan Cassiano and Del Byrne. As it turns out, Del is Jay's own brother. The feds are trying to build a lazy case in the conference room to make their jobs easier. To bait Jay into giving up information, Del intentionally provokes him with insensitive questions about his close relationship with Captain Velez. When Jay retreats into his memories, Del delivers a crushing emotional blow, leading to Jay beating his older brother. Following the incident, Dane goes to support his partner. The two men discuss the absurdity of the FBI's theory and decide not to let such talk tarnish Jackie's memory. Dane brings up an unexpected topic. He's tired of the daily police routine. To keep him from spiraling into depression, Jay invites him to go out and blow off some steam. Jay heads to the precinct parking lot, where his partners are putting on a bit of a show to entertain themselves. The conversation turns to rumors of ghost raids, incidents where cops and feds hit cartel spots, find massive amounts of money, and the cash vanishes without a trace. Meanwhile, Dane is sitting in his office, staring at a text from an anonymous informant about a cartel house with a massive amount of cash. Just then, an old acquaintance from narcotics, Agent Mateo Nix, or Matty for short, pulls up to the precinct. Jay immediately jumps down his throat for a bad parking job, but Matty deflects, bringing up Captain Jackie's death and reminding them that they still have her honor to fight for. Lieutenant Dane finally appears, greets his colleagues, and proposes a new, off-the-books gig. Detectives Numa and Lola are initially annoyed at the prospect of a job after hours with no overtime pay, but once a $250,000 score is mentioned, the team signs on without a second thought.
How much is this riff supposed to be? 150K.
They head out looking less like law enforcement and more like a parody of Vin Diesel's family going to buy steaks for a final barbecue. Soon the cops arrive at a spot that feels just like
Grove Street, home.
Dane decides not to waste time. His plan is to lie to the suspect and say they are searching the house for controlled substances rather than cash. Meanwhile, Numa notices that the surrounding neighborhood looks suspiciously deserted. Their dog, Wilbur, starts losing his mind, signaling that there is far more money inside the house than the boss promised. After the first knock, a girl named Desi answers the door.
You mind if we come inside?
Do you have a warrant?
They don't have a warrant, of course, but they play the consent to search card, promising her that if she lets them look around, they'll be out of her hair as fast as possible. Desi agrees and signs the paperwork. The cops storm inside and release the dog, who leads them straight to the attic. Finally, they admit to the girl that their dog isn't hunting for drugs, he's hunting for cash. Judging by her reaction, this was the last thing she expected. To get the full picture, take a look at the so-called order of the house. Now, look at what Dane and Jay found in the attic. A level of clutter that would make any rebellious teenager's room look organized.
I get the sledge.
Before things go too far, they give the girl a chance to come clean, but she swears she's never even been up there. She explains the house belonged to her grandmother who passed away 2 months ago. The property is tied up in probate, and while her sister might eventually inherit a share, the girl claims her sibling hasn't lifted a finger. As the conversation continues, the girl shows a surprising level of insight. She asks the men why they listen to the moral lectures forced upon them, arguing that these values come from a God who doesn't pay their mortgage, bills, medical expenses, or funeral costs. Noticing the tattoos on Dane's hands, she becomes curious about their meaning. On his left hand, an acronym hides the phrase, "Are we the good guys?" And on his right, "Yes, and always will be." When the work upstairs is finished, the cops find themselves staring at several buckets filled with cash. When Dane opens the first one, it's not the $350,000 mentioned in the tip, it's a full $1.5 million. This means that across all these buckets, they are currently sitting on roughly $20 million in cash. To prevent his team from doing something stupid, Dane begins confiscating everyone's phones. He knows all too well that this kind of money can instantly poison anyone's mind. Since he's never dealt with a haul this size, his only instinct is to follow protocol. He orders the money moved to the garage. The rest of the house is just drywall, and if a shootout starts, they'll have a better chance of survival behind concrete walls. Jay backs his partner and suggests calling Major Tom to handle everything strictly by the book, but Dane hesitates. He refuses to let anyone make a call, not even to daughters or brothers. Desi, realizing how grave the situation has become, tells the cops to just take the money and run before things get worse. Right then, Mike reports that two men are heading toward the house. They turn out to be local patrol officers, none too happy about suspicious-looking cops appearing on their turf. When things get heated, Sergeant J takes a blunt insult but recognizes the officer in the passenger seat. The patrolmen eventually back off, but not before threatening to report the whole thing to their sheriff. Dane knows the situation is about to get complicated. It's time to gear up with rifles and body armor. The team finishes moving the money to the garage, and Desi is cuffed near the dog. They finally have a moment to discuss what's actually happening, why Dane hasn't reported the find to command, and where their backup is. Mike is the first to crack under the pressure, aggressively suggesting they move a car in front of the glass door to further fortify their position. Dane and Jay return to the garage and order everyone to put on their vests and prepare for an attack at any second. They decide only to count the unmarked bills. With this much volume, Dane notes they could be stuck there for 2 days. Just counting it would almost be easier to steal it.
All right, so we'll make 2 piles like that, dig through them, and that's not marked.
The commander sends Mike out to patrol the street, where we discover that Mike actually has a second phone. He uses it to call his chief, reporting the massive find, and asking him not to call the rest of the team. It's clear a dirty game is being played. During a conversation with Dane, Desi notices a photo of his son on his phone, but the lieutenant quickly deflects, steering the talk back to her file. She has snitched before, which is why her records are flagged. Her ex-boyfriend was a dealer and she helped the police bust him, though she claims she doesn't know where he is now. After her grandmother died, cartel members came to her house and offered a small fee to hide a large sum of money. Jay, however, isn't buying it. He suspects she was the informant all along. Knowing the government pays a 20% reward for information on cartel cash, she was just looking for an easy payday. The cartel told her that if the cops ever showed up, she should offer them exactly the amount mentioned in the tip and tell them to leave if they wanted to stay alive. Just then, the landline rings.
Don't pick it up.
Hello?
You have 30 minutes to get the fuck out of that house. Just do your job and take the money that was supposed to be there. No one needs to die for 150K.
After the call, Jay demands a private word with his partner. The voice on the phone mentioned $150,000, but Dane, their supposed leader, had told them the score was $300,000. Trust is out the window. Jay demands to see the original tip personally, and when Dane refuses to show it, Jay gives him an ultimatum. Call the boss right now, or he will. As Jay storms out, the film flashes back to Jackie. It turns out she was the one who sent Dane the text with the tip about the massive stash at this address just before she died. Meanwhile, Numa and Lola are counting the cash, fantasizing about how even a small stack could change their lives for the better. Jay, unable to contain himself, calls Maddie to report the find and share his suspicions about Dane's behavior. Mateo has his own theory. The secret romance between Jackie and Jay was common knowledge, no matter how hard they tried to hide it. He tells Jay to look at the facts. Dane was the one who recently got promoted, and he's the one who somehow knew about this high-stakes stash house. He asks Jay a chilling question. Is the money they found worth the life of a Miami police officer? Maddie suggests that Dane might have killed Jackie to keep the information for himself, pointing to Dane's desperate situation, crushing debt from his late son's cancer treatments and a failed marriage. Hoping to help, Maddie promises to head to their location immediately. Outside, the streetlights begin to flicker on in a suspicious timed sequence, though the neighborhood remains a ghost town. Jay startles Mike with his sudden appearance, and together they spot a message being signaled in Morse code from a distance. Cops. Jay tells Mike to report this to the lieutenant while he checks the perimeter of the house. However, Mike receives a text from the major saying they are already assembling a team and will arrive shortly. Inside, Desi overhears Dane's call to the major, where he reports finding only $150,000, claiming they can handle it themselves and will head back soon. When Dane leaves the room, Mike appears and Desi tells him what she heard. When the lieutenant catches them talking, Mike has to scramble, making up a story about the strange activity outside, which Dane decides to investigate personally. Desi is in a full-blown panic, begging them to just arrest her and get her far away from there. Meanwhile, Numa and Lola have stopped counting and started packing the cash into bags to take for themselves. Suddenly, the phone rings again. A voice on the other end gives them a cold ultimatum. They have 10 minutes to live. Out on the street, Dane suspects Mike of being a rat, but ultimately decides to send him back into the house while he goes to find Jay. In a moment of extreme tension where you expect a bullet in the back, the lieutenant calmly turns and walks away. Seizing the moment, Mike messages his boss again, claiming Dane has decided to split the money and walk away clean. While clearing the house, Jay receives a text from Nix warning him that no official dispatch call was ever logged. He'd better watch his back. As Jay heads upstairs, he feels the cold steel of a pistol pressed against the back of his head. Back inside, Mike reassures Desi that backup is on the way, while the two female detectives have locked themselves in the garage to count the cash without distraction. Dane returns shortly after, but he's alone. He claims he and Jay split up and tells the others not to use the radios. Suddenly, the lights cut out and the house is sprayed with gunfire. Lola is wounded in the chaos. Mike and Dane rush outside to hunt down the shooter, who is already on the run. The lieutenant manages to wing one of the gunmen as he's leaping between rooftops, but the attackers scramble into a pickup truck and peel away. Suddenly, another cartel member appears behind them, but he's with Jay. Jay explains that this guy is local. He's just a caretaker for the house. He wasn't the shooter, and he's about to put them on the phone with his boss to clear things up. The cartel boss tells the lieutenant point blank that they weren't the ones shooting. To them, killing a cop is too expensive. He tells them to take every cent in that house and disappear, warning them that if they don't, making it to sunrise will be the hardest thing they've ever done. Jay interrupts, demanding to know if the cartel was involved in Captain Velez's murder. The cops retreat to the garage. Lola has regained consciousness and is back to counting the money. But Jay is about to drop a bombshell. He reveals the cartel boss's answer. They had nothing to do with Velez. They believe she was taken out by one of her own. With that, Jay openly accuses Dane of the murder. A brutal fight breaks out between the two partners. Once they are pulled apart, Jay storms out of the garage, and Dane orders the rest of the team to pack up and move. Meanwhile, Jay is on the line with Maddie, telling him that the lieutenant has lost his mind and plans to keep all the money. Nix promises to arrive shortly in an armored van, claiming he's coming alone to avoid paperwork and overtime for a full squad. Panic-stricken, Mike tries to scramble for a new plan. Dane tells the women to memorize specific sets of numbers and stay off the phones. Suddenly, a fire breaks out, forcing everyone to evacuate the building. Maddie Nix pulls up exactly at that moment and suggests they load the cash into his van. Dane orders Numa and Desi to stay behind with the injured Lola and wait for the fire department. The men pile into the van and speed off. Inside the vehicle, the real drama begins. Dane and Jay both draw their weapons, each suspecting the other of betrayal. But as they start talking, a completely different picture begins to emerge. Nix claims they are taking the money to a secure lockup near the hospital. Jay decides to call Major Tom to update him on their location, assuming the Major is already in the loop since Dane supposedly called him. At that moment, Mike interjects, calling it all a lie. He claims he knows Dane only reported $150,000 to the Major and planned to split the rest with the team information he got from Desi, who overheard the conversation. But there's a catch. She heard exactly what Dane wanted her to hear. Dane reveals the truth. He gave a different dollar amount to every member of the team as a test. The person who called the house phone with the threat mentioned $150,000, the exact number Dane gave only to Mike. This proves that either Mike is trying to steal the money himself, or he's working for someone else.
No one needs to down 150K.
How much is this rip supposed to be?
150K.
150K exact.
Now where'd he get that number?
So I called the fucking house. How's that? I was standing right there.
To seal the deal, Jay pulls out Mike's lost second phone, which he had actually found in the garage earlier.
And those Hialeah cops.
What?
You set fire to the stash house.
Are you hearing this bullshit?
See, the thing about lying, detective, it comes real hard to keep those timelines straight. Who did what? Who did it when? The truth is much more of a straight line. Unless you're lying like me, the way I've been lying to you all night long, because then, truth be told, it is a fucking art form.
It's revealed that Dane never actually had an official tip. He admitted this to Jay when they were alone. The only thing he really had was a mysterious text from an unknown number the night Jackie was killed. He concocted the stash house plan and fed different numbers to his colleagues to flush out the traitor. He knew they'd find Jackie's killer tonight. He just didn't realize Mike was the one working for them. Both cops now turn their suspicion toward Matty Nix. They still don't know who is in the pursuit vehicle behind them, or, more importantly, who is actually behind the wheel of their van. Mike finally breaks, begging for a phone to call his boss, who turns out to be Nix himself.
Redial.
A masked driver joins the shootout, but Jay manages to take him out. In the ensuing struggle, Nix overpowers them, beating both Dane and Mike. He orders everyone to stay put while his partner, the same patrol cop from earlier, disposes of a body and prepares to move out. Nix spent the whole time trying to pin Jackie's murder on Mike, but Mike finally confesses that Nix was the one who delivered the finishing blow. Sensing the walls closing in, Nix offers to split the cash and live like kings, leaving Mike out of the deal. But he missed one crucial detail. Jay didn't just bring Nix into this. He also called his brother Del. At that exact moment, Del's voice comes over the phone. He's already on site. Before the raid, Jay decided to trust his brother at the FBI to stop the heist. Del, on speakerphone, orders everyone out the back door. Nix, realizing he's trapped, tries to spin it, claiming they can still return the money to the feds and close the case. The problem? He's still on speakerphone, and the feds heard everything. Mike seizes the moment, pulls his backup piece, and shoots Nix. He grabs a rifle and one bag of cash, disappearing into the night before Dane and Jay can react as Nix tries to speed away in the van. The team is forced to split up. Dane goes after Mike while Jay hunts down Matty, the man who murdered the woman he loved. Fueled by pure rage, Jay unloads magazine after magazine into him, showing no mercy for the consequences. Meanwhile, Dane catches up to Mike in the swamps. After beating him into submission, he gives him a final choice: stop resisting or die right here. Mike surrenders and lets himself be handcuffed. Jay, still in hot pursuit of Matty, waits for the right moment to shoot out the van's tire and pit maneuver him, sending Matty's vehicle flying off a bridge. Matty crawls out of the wreckage and tries to buy his life, offering Jay all the money in exchange for his freedom. But when Jay opens the bag, the truth hits him. The bags are filled with nothing but old magazines. Lola and Numa had stuffed them to create a decoy. The moment Matty tries to pull a desperate move, Jay finishes him off for good. The actual cash was with the women all along, as they calmly drove toward the precinct in Desi's grandmother's old car. After the feds cross-reference the facts and finish the count, they are stunned to find that the officers pulled off the entire operation without losing a single dollar.
It's one solid rip. Clear this place out. Mop it up.
You just say one solid rip.
The team finally celebrates their success, heading home in an Uber Black called for them by the FBI. Desi ends up with her 20% cut in cash, and Jay decides to make peace with his brother.
Yeah, I'm hugging. No, I'm not hugging you.
Give your big brother a hug.
I'm not hugging
Hug
you,
your big
JD.
brother who loves you.
Back up. No chance. Get fucked.
Come on. Hey, hug your brother who loves you in front of all the feds. Come here. He's a bully, but he loves you.
You're a fucking asshole, you know that?
Desi can't help herself. She returns to the lieutenant to thank him for the gig and to apologize for her harsh words earlier that night. She finally asks for the true meaning behind his tattoos. "Are we the good guys?" were the last words his son ever spoke. "Yes, and we always will be," was the last thing Dane said to his boy before he passed away.
All right, Desiree Lopez Molina, stay the fuck out of trouble.
The film ends with the partners drinking beer on the shore, thanking each other for having their backs. After successfully flushing out the rats in their department, they finally remove the black mourning bands from their badges. They found the killer. They stayed clean. They remained the good guys. Jackie would have been proud of this outcome and of the little girl playing nearby, basking in the sunrise. When the girl's mother calls her name, the men think they're hearing things, but it's real. The girl's name is Jackie, a sign that their friend's spirit will be with them forever.